Hey, what's going on, guys? John Shea here from the No Shame Income Vlog. And if you are brand new here on the channel or you're a returning visitor, be sure to throw me a thumbs up on the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you guys actually go back and leave me a comment on this video, I will come back and reply to your comment. So what we're going to be talking about today is one of the #1 reasons that you may be failing to actually go out there and land your very first client. I know, when I first started out, this was a real challenge for me. So I want to talk about this topic today and give you guys a little bit of insight on this. So let's dive into today's video. Alright, so this is a really fun topic. I'm not going to do the traditional screen share today. I'm not going to be showing you guys anything specific, but really more of some mindset stuff and just some common sense, I guess you could say, really. I found that, as I went around in Facebook groups, watched other people go out there and try to do all these things that people were telling them to do, like send all these emails and, cold call and do all these different things, right? They weren't really looking at the basic concepts of what I like to kind of look at when it comes to human nature is just actually being able to build trust and build a relationship with someone. I can tell you, bar none, I've probably never sent more than, I would say, not even more than 400 or 500 emails to business owners in all of the 5 years that I've been doing digital agency services, and I've closed now at this point well over 6 figures in digital agency services, doing this really more or less part-time. It hasn't been 100% of my focus through all the years that I've been doing online marketing, while I've been doing other things like affiliate marketing and creating courses and some other things that I love doing. But the point of the matter is that I found that I would see people in these Facebook groups that would be like, hey, I just sent 1,000 emails and I didn't get any responses. So I would say the first mistake that some people might be making when it comes to getting a client is they're failing to follow up. They're failing to actually take the time to check back with people, right? If you think about it, when you're being marketed to on the internet and just anything in general, advertisements, right? Like you're watching TV, you consistently see these same ads over and over again on TV. You're constantly browsing websites and seeing that same ad pop up for that same damn like whatever product you were just looking at on Amazon, right? And you see that over and over again, and it kind of becomes something in your head where it's constantly reminding you over and over and over again. And I think when it comes to going out there and approaching business owners and trying to help them, one of the biggest things that people fail to do is actually following up. Like, I can't tell you how many spam emails I get every day from new people, and it's the only time I ever hear from them. In some very rare cases, I might get a second follow-up. But I could probably tell you, in most cases, you may need to follow up as many as 4 or 5 times to actually get someone to move forward, to maybe even talk to you on a phone call. Now, with this being said, many of you are actually going out there and not really even approaching people in the first place all that correctly, right? They're just sending out some blanket email. It's very generic. There's no personalization. They haven't taken the time to understand who is even the business owner of the company. All these different things that really, when added up, it just doesn't, make sense to be going out there and sort of just trying to have this whole, I'm going to just do a whole bunch of, send out as many emails as possible and hope that some people respond, right? I like to take a quality approach, and that's always worked extremely well for me because it shows people that I'm basically different from everyone else. And the way that I like to do this is actually by sending out a little video. I typically call this my pay it forward method. So the idea of the pay it forward method is you pretty much take a simple video, you pull up, let's say their website, let's say you were going to be doing some SEO or Facebook ads, and you find some things that you both like and don't like about their website. So what I like to do is, let's say I pulled up a site, and I'll look for basic things. Like, some good things might be whether or not I can easily find their phone number, whether or not I can find more information about the business and what they do. Is there an about page? Do they have a blog? Like, really basic things, right? And if I were to point these out to a business owner, they're going to understand all of this. I'm not sharing with them all this complex stuff like, oh, you don't have backlinks, or, you haven't run your Facebook ads properly because of this and that, right? It's very basic stuff that they're gonna understand, and they're gonna be able to go, oh wow, that makes total sense, and I understand that there's a problem. So I approach this with a very honest approach of both talking about the positives and the negatives. If you only focus on things that are negative or bad, then they're probably just gonna assume that you're most likely trying to sell them something. But if you go into it like, hey, I really love the design of your website. It was easy enough to find your phone number. I was able to find your email address. It's easy enough to contact you. I can see all these photos you have of all the work that you've done, but you're missing some content about maybe your service pages, and I think this could be expanded on. Or, hey, I see that you're missing a Facebook pixel, and we could be using this to retarget business owners that visit your website. And, you know, they decide not to come back, you could run ads and target those people, right? That's simple stuff that you could explain to a business owner and they're just gonna get it. And this is something that I've been using literally for years. I've recorded well over 1,000 videos on that app called Use Loom, and I think I even have another app I used to use for doing videos, and I had something like 600 or 700 videos in that. Now, I use video for just about everything from replying to emails to, hell, if you leave me a really long comment on this YouTube video, I can guarantee you I'm not gonna sit there and type out a really long response. I'm probably gonna reply with a video. And that's just because it's easy, it's personable, people relate to you a little bit better if they can actually hear your voice. And it just makes for a whole much, you know, overall easier approach to starting conversations, building trust, and eventually leading to a sale. So when it comes to all of this, right, I want to give you guys an example of something that happened to me years ago, and this will kind of help put the picture together for you in a simpler sense. So when I first was going out there actually trying to like meet women seriously and go on dates and things like that through my 20s, I remember I went to this party and I was probably like, I don't know, 22 or 23 at the time. I had gone to a lot of parties, I'd met a lot of people, I was hanging out with a lot of friends, things like that, very social, you know, growing up through my 20s. And I remember going to this party very specifically, and it was in a basement. It was like the typical just like house party. The parents weren't home. They had kegs in the basement. You know, it was like a pretty awesome like setup. They had music going, they had pool tables, people were playing beer pong, you know, all the traditional stuff you get out of like a normal college party and kids in their 20s, right? So I remember there was a girl walking around, and I had noticed her, but I didn't really like make any approach on trying to talk to her. But, you know, I kind of kept it in mind that like maybe if there was an opportunity, I'd sort of find my way in, but do it in such a way that I wasn't going to come off as like some creepy guy, right? And that was one of the biggest things for me always growing up, was that confidence. And I can tell you that it's going to be the same thing when you go and try to get clients. You're going to need to be confident in what you're offering and how you're willing to help them. And I wanted to approach, you know, women in the same way, right? So I kind of learned a lot of this as I went, and I was actually able to apply it to going out there and getting clients. But what it came down to is, you know, for me, I remember this girl was walking around like throughout the night. I kind of noticed her, and this guy was really drunk. He was like, you know, he wasn't like completely obliterated to the point he didn't know what was going on, but he was pretty much like, you know, past the point of being able to drive, you could say. So this guy walks up to her and he goes, you know, hey, what are you doing? You want to hang out sometime? And he was just like, the way he approached it was just totally an idiot, right? It reminds me exactly of how these people send these spam emails being like, hey, what's going on? I don't know who you are, but you want to pay me for SEO? Your website sucks and you have a bunch of problems, and that's it, right? Like there's no personalization, there's no, hey, let's get to know one another. None of that, right? And that's exactly how people approach marketing, and business owners are inundated with this crap every day. Just like women have guys like this that come up to them and just completely fail. And I mean, this guy absolutely failed. The girl was like, well, we're hanging out right now. I remember it was the funniest thing. I was thinking to myself, and he just kept going, well, I mean somewhere else. And he was so confused, and she's just giving him shit. She's like, oh, well, we're hanging out right now, right? And he got really kind of mad and then eventually walked away. And I used that as an opportunity to be like, hey, that guy's kind of a dumbass, you know, in a very light, respected manner. And then we started talking. We kind of formed a little relationship that night. We then ended up going on some dates and then eventually dating and hanging out all the time. And it all started with me kind of coming in with that trust factor of, you know, hey, I'm not going to come in and be like this weirdo guy, right? I'm very like, you know, well-mannered. I start a conversation. I build upon that, build some trust, and then eventually start dating. And then ultimately, you know, for most of you, you're eventually going to get married, right? So in my case, that girl wasn't the girl that I married, but hey, I did the same thing with my wife now. We met, we initially met, and then we started going on dates, and then now after several years of time, we eventually get married, right? So it's just this one of those things that I think when it comes to approaching clients, you really have to think about, you know, going into it with confidence, going into it like you want to help them, and at the same time, thinking about how, you know, you're going to be different from the 10 other guys that just approached them this past week, right? Like, what are you doing that's different? And like I said, if you follow my pay it forward method mentality, you could do this. Again, I'm going to actually leave a training link below in the description. You can actually see a whole training, learn about my story, my background, and I'll talk a lot more about the pay it forward method and how you can apply this in your business inside of that training. So if you like this video, definitely be sure to throw me a thumbs up on the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to hit me up and let me know. I'm going to be releasing new videos each and every week. And thank you guys again for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.